Coming up is part 1 of the course from makethattrack.com. As a member of our website, you get access to all the links, presets, samples and loops, and also project files, including MIDI, for all the tutorials on the site. Enjoy this free tutorial and be sure to check us out at makethattrack.com.
Hey, welcome to part 1 of our Cubase Disco House tutorial. In this video, we're going to be setting up our basic drums and drum rhythms. But before we do that, the first thing we're going to do is just set up our project a little bit before we start getting to the drums. So what we want to do first is we want to set up our project tempo. And we're going to be working with the tempo of 118 BPM. So I'm just going to hit F2, and that's going to bring up our transport panel here. And over here where tempo is here, we just need to make sure it's unlocked. So we're going to click on tempo so that it's not grayed. And then we're just going to drag this tempo down to 118. Okay, now that's set up, I just want to show you how to get some custom folders ready. So if we press Controller Command and P, that's going to bring up the media pool. And by default, you'll just have this audio folder here with nothing in it. And to start creating your own custom folders, you can right-click and choose Create Folder, and then you can start setting up folders and dragging audio clips into these folders so that you can use them quickly with Cubase. Okay, so I've already done this for all the samples that we're going to be using, so we'll get to that in just a second. But now, let's get back to the drums. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a groove agent, which is a native Cubase device, and that allows us to assign different audio clips to the device in order to make a drum pattern within using MIDI. So in order to get a groove agent in here, all we have to do is right click and choose Add Track and Instrument, and then it's going to ask us what instrument we want. We're going to select under the drum category Groove Agent. And then we're just going to hit Add Track. Okay, and this is going to bring up the groove agent for us. And what this is just a bunch of pads here that are empty currently. And we can use these pads to assign different audio sounds to. And then we can play them on a MIDI keyboard, or we can use a MIDI pattern in order to create a drum beat. So let's go back to our pool window. And we'll go into drums. And we're just going to import 4 different drum sounds into this device. So I'm going to get my kick, drag that over here, and we'll get a snap, a clap, and a snare. Okay, so now I can click on any of these pads to play the sound. And if I were to have a MIDI keyboard set up, I could press the corresponding note that is assigned to each pad to play those sounds. So if I press C1, I would be able to play the kick, C#1 would play the snap, and so on. Okay, so now that we have these in here, we can close the groove agent, and we can create a MIDI pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this actually, because I already have a groove agent set up. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a pattern here in our timeline. So we're going to right click and choose the pencil tool. And we're just going to draw in a little clip here. Then we'll go back to the arrow tool and double click on it. And that's going to open up the score editor. So if we remember, our kick was set to C1. So if I just draw in a bunch of C1s here, we'll be able to get a kick pattern going. Okay, so we'll have 1 for each beat. All right, and next we'll get our snaps in here. We'll have those once every other beat. We'll do the same for our claps. Okay, so if we listen, we'll notice that the clap is coming in a little bit late. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the arrow tool and we're going to select these. And then we're just going to hold Control while dragging. We can bypass the grid and just offset them by a little bit here. Okay, so now they're on time with the rest of our elements. Now let's go back to the pencil tool and we'll draw in our snare. Okay, and now we'll close this. And we can duplicate this a bunch of times. If I select the clip and press Control or Command and D, that will be our command to duplicate. Then I can select all 4 of these and press duplicate again. So now that we have our basic pattern set up, we can click on this piano icon to open back Groove Agent back up. And now we can go and fine tune some of the settings of our instruments. So our snare is a little bit quiet, so I can click on the snare. And now I have a volume setting here on this volume knob. I can turn this up a little bit. And another thing I've done, besides editing the volume, is on the snap and clap, I've panned them left and right. So on my snap, you can see here on the panning knob, I've set it to about 50% left. And for our clap, I've set it about 50% to the right. Okay, so that's going to do it for our basic pattern. Now let's get some more audio clips and audio loops in here. So I'm going to open up the pool window again. And let's just grab our closed hat. And we'll drag that in. Okay. Now let's get our closed hat too. Drag that in. And this is going to be on the upbeat. It's going to make our rhythm a little bit more interesting. Okay, next let's get a shaker in here to give it some groove. Okay, next I'm going to be importing a sound that I've called sizzle hats because they have a nice sizzly sound in the high-end frequencies. So I'm just going to bring those in. We'll zoom in a little bit here. We're going to want this to happen once every beat. All right. Okay, and we're going to want this to be more of a background element. So I'm going to turn the volume down by going over here on the left and just dragging this slider to the left. And that's just filling up some more of the frequencies in the background. All right, next we're going to be using a sound once every 4 beats, or 4 bars rather, just to give it a little bit of variation. So we'll drag open hat in. All right, and we'll zoom in. We'll have this happen once every 4 bars. So I'll hold Alt and drag this to copy it. Okay, and to complete our kit, let's get a crash sound in here. Okay, that's going to do it for our basic drum beat. In the next video, we're going to be setting up our instruments.
We hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this course. To continue, please go to the website and select a membership to suit your needs. Welcome to MakeThatTrack.com. At Make That Track, we provide everything you need to make your favourite style of music from start to finish. Our Getting Started series will show a complete beginner where to start and what they need to do to start making music out of the box. Once the basics are grasped, you can learn how to make the genre of your choice with everything that you need in the process. Want to know how to make that elusive sound from your favourite producer's tracks? Check out our How to Make That Sound tutorials. We take the guesswork out and show you exactly what you need to do to get that sound within a few simple steps. With tips on arrangement, mixing, mastering and effects, you'll have everything you need to prepare your tracks to send to a record label and to play in the clubs. Get everything you need to make the music you love today.